Hi everyone, it's Gary Nicholson here from the Mountain Weather Information Service. This is your planning outlook on Thursday the 3rd of October. Now it's all looking a rather unsettled trend as we head through the next week to 10 days. In the short term, things moving around quite slowly, some very murky, wet conditions at times, some windows of opportunity in there, and then next week a more mobile westerly pattern will bring rapidly changing conditions from day to day. Let's have a look through the charts then as we head toward the weekend. Friday sees a zone of low pressure, what's left of Hurricane Lorenzo, drifting its way slowly across the British Isles as a filling area of low pressure heading off towards Central Europe. It's got a wraparound of a front which is a tangle of low cloud and rain, some heavy bursts across Wales, that tending to track southeastwards with time. Not much rain left on that further north, patches though coming across the Pennines and Eastern Highlands through the day. The wind will vary up to gale force in places across Wales in the morning, and locally easterly gales across central parts of Scotland. Just for a time early on, it will tend to ease. In the centre of the low, very little wind for a time, but will become gusty across, say, the Lake District as the day goes on. Best chance of some cloud breaks to higher tops toward the west coast of Scotland, where here it stays dry throughout the day. Now into Saturday, the next fronts are moving their way in from the Atlantic with strengthening southeasterly winds ahead of that, which will be very gusty in places to lower slopes, so prone spots, say north of the Cairngorms, north of about the Ben Nevis range, some very powerful gusts running down slope from those higher plateaus. And the idea of rain coming in as well from the west. That will set in gradually across the western side of Scotland. Patches of rain coming into Wales too, which will turn heavier later on. But ahead of that, across much of the spine of England, the Pennines, the Lake District, up towards central, eastern, even northern Scotland, a good chance of being dry most, if not all day, with just a few spits and spots maybe coming on from time to time. Now, quite a damp atmosphere that's been left around from Friday night will leave a mess of low cloud, particularly in the morning. Some places there may just be gaps between the cloud layers on higher slopes, and there may be some fog in the valleys where you've got some shelter first thing in the morning. I suspect it will break up for some places, others will hang on to that low cloud, and areas across the east and southeast of Scotland where the fetch is in off the North Sea are likely to hang on to some very low cloud across the hills much of the day. Best of the breaks then likely to be towards the far north of the Highlands and also around the northern side of the Lake District. A bit of a 50-50 in terms of whether the Pennines can manage to clear before those next fronts come in. So keep an eye on your local forecast for that one. Now Sunday looks a pretty poor day, it must be said. The absolute detail of where this low is centred and the shape of it in terms of the wind is uncertain, but it looks very likely that a slow-moving front will be draped northwest to southeast across the British Isles, and that producing some rain, heavy for a time. That's the front really that was come in later on Saturday and then stalled. So a wet spell in the early hours of Sunday, tending to break up a bit across Scotland and eventually across northern England, the heavier rain becoming more confined towards perhaps east and southeast England with time. Some showers following that across Wales, where here at least cloud bases may well lift us a bit as relatively fresher air, clearer air gets in, but beneath that frontal zone it's just going to be a swathe of very low cloud, blanket of fog across most of the hills. The wind will really vary. In some places there may be very little of it. Now things get a move on as we go onwards into Monday. The next set of fronts steaming in off the Atlantic with strengthening south-southwesterly winds. The risk of gales, even severe gales, across some of the higher tops for Monday daytime. Rain coming in, turning heaviest and most persistent across the western hills of Scotland from Skye down to about Mull, Loch Lomond National Park, Dumfries and Galloway, and also that rain moving in to West Wales and the southwestern fells of the Lake District to turn pretty heavy. Just watch your timing for exact detail. The best chance of staying driest for longest really towards the Cairngorms, the Pennines, Peak District and the eastern side of Wales, but expect the wind to strengthen for all. Now by Tuesday, a cold front will have passed eastwards, a spell of heavy rain will have gone through, and a chillier air mass will have followed in from the North Atlantic, and an unstable air mass as well, so we're talking about showers for Tuesday. Those may merge into some longer periods of rain across western Scottish hills, where further fronts wrap around the centre of low pressure. With freezing levels around 1100 to 1200 metres, there'll be some snow above, say, 900, 1000 metres across the Scottish mountains, the risk of some hail, even a rumble of thunder if those showers turn heavier through the course of the day. Most frequent in the west, a bit more scattered toward the east, and notice the close proximity of the isobars. It's a windy day again, looking likely to be gale force across most of the higher mountains, so a distinctly cold day where exposed on the higher tops. If we step back and look at the big picture towards the middle of the week, it's that cool, unsettled pattern that stays with us, with the mobile westerly flow in charge, low pressure centred between Scotland and Iceland, the airflow originating off the North Atlantic with some of its source coming off Greenland, so maintaining that rather cool feel. Temperatures may just fluctuate a little bit, typically near or above freezing point on the highest Scottish tops, and more like sort of 3 to 5 degrees at Munro level, and the highest tops in the Lake District in Snowdonia, for example. So just on the cool side without being deeply cold at this stage, and will vary from day to day. It'll stay unsettled with frequent rain or showers coming in from the Atlantic. There may be another small centre of low pressure that wraps itself up within this generally unsettled pattern. The detail, of course, at a week away is more elusive, but either way, we get to the end of the week and low pressure more or less hasn't changed its position, dominant across the northern side of the British Isles. It looks pretty unsettled for the foreseeable future at least. There's one or two hints of that low eventually moving eastwards as we go more toward the middle of the month. That would allow higher pressure to build over the Atlantic to our west. That may just change things a bit then through the middle of October. A long way off for that one at this stage, so we'll keep an eye on those details. Stay up to date then every day with your local information on our website, and you can follow us on our social media feeds as well. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.